Happy lunch hour, gang. All right. Uh, Time for a serious conversation. How many of you are comfortable with the way things are going in the world right now? I won't just say the country, okay? I'll say the world. How many of you are confident that Christmas is going to be a time of celebration this year? How many of you are confident that next year things are going to be hunky dory? Y'all know just as well as I do that the vast majority of the world thinks, oh, this is just a blip. Everything's going to get better. Things aren't that bad. Today's a good day. Tomorrow will be a good day too. No big deal. Until the day that somebody doesn't come home, or there isn't dinner to put on the table, or there isn't a roof over your head, or you lost your job, or pick something. War comes to the United States soil or whatever country you are in. That your house burns down, that bandits come and try to take what you have. That's more likely now than ever. So I want you to think real quick about the basic necessities in life. Okay. When any of those things happen, how you're going to get by. All right. And most people, if I asked everybody right now to name the basic necessities of life, tell me what you're going to say. I would bet most people would say food, water, shelter. And you'd be correct. And I'd venture to add two more. Okay. Transportation and income. And I'm going to touch on each one of those. So let's just go right down the list. Food, okay? The average American eats 1,996 pounds of food per year. That means the average person eats about 5.5 pounds of food per day, okay? How much food do you have put away? I've got a year's worth of food. I've got hundreds of canning jars. I've got a whole cow in the freezer, whatever. The day that you open that first jar, the clock has started ticking. Because unless you have a way to put food back in the jar that you just took out, the clock is ticking. I have a year's worth of food. Great. What are you going to eat on day 366? Ever given that any thought? Most of us don't have the ability to be completely self-sufficient, including me. Okay? Yes, I can grow plenty of food, plenty of vegetables. Do I have cows, rabbits, chickens? No. Okay? Which kind of ties into where we're going to go further on necessities. Some people do. Some people have a full farm. Most don't. So right there, that tells you, gee, I need to come up with a protein source, meats. I need to come up with a dairy source, whether it's milk or whether it's eggs, whatever it would be. Because as much as people stock flour, you kind of need milk or eggs or whatever to bake something. Now, granted, you could make bread with just salt and yeast and water and flour, but that's prison sustenance, bread and water, okay? I don't think any of us are going to make it too long on that. So how much food do you have? And what are your plans to get more? Let's move on to the next part of that, okay? So let's go into water. According to the EPA, the average American uses about 82 gallons per day per person in the household. This means a family of four would use around 10,000 gallons a month. Now, I'm going to say that is a little bit over the top. Granted, we shower, we bathe, we cook, we wash dishes, we wash clothes, we flush toilets, we water gardens. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of water usage. The people that come up and say you need a gallon of water a day are fooling themselves. I mean, I figured this out once, and at a bare minimum, I believe what I figured out is you need 6 gallons per person per day. Okay, that's to cook, to clean, to do whatever. Yeah, you're going to go out and pee on a tree and defecate in a foxhole or a cat hole. Okay, that's kind of how things are going to be. You're going to wind up using composting toilets or an outhouse or whatever. So, but you're still going to have to wash dishes, wash clothes, however it's going to be, because people say, oh, I've just got a ton of paper plates. Great. You're going to run out of those too, and you're not going to cook in a paper plate. You got to dispose of that too, and now you got other issues. So what are your solutions for water? That kind of goes into another one too. Shelter. Do you own your home? I mean, outright. You have no mortgage payment. Great. Okay. You still have to pay property tax on that. We can all bet those taxes are going to go up. They are going to try to force you out of your house that way. You can't pay the $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 taxes that you have now. Okay, what happens when that increases tenfold? You live in New England and your $10,000 property tax bill is now $100,000 a year. How are you going to pay that? You rent. Okay, that's a problem in itself, because we've all seen in the last couple of years rent prices keep going up and up and up, and it's kind of a combination of the first one. Somebody owns that property and their taxes just go up tenfold. Guess what? They pass those taxes on to you in rent, and let's say your rent is $2,000 a month, which was $1,000 2 years ago. Okay, and now they've got to raise your rent to pay those taxes tenfold. Oh, gee, now your rent is $20,000 a month. Okay, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to hope you're going to have somebody in the family or a friend or whatever that can move you into their house, and now you have a house full of people that can all try to keep shelter over your head. Have you given thought to that? I mean, those are the three that most people will talk about: food, water, and shelter. And you can see real quick how all those can go by the wayside in a blink of an eye. Okay, so I add the other two that I like to add, is transportation and an income. Well, first off, let's talk about transportation. I don't have chickens. I don't have cows. I need to get food. Somehow it's got to get to me, or I have to go get it. Do you want to rely on somebody else bringing it to you? Yeah, because that's working so well in the country right now. Call a plumber, call an electrician, call a tree service to do anything that you need done. Most of the time, they don't show up. Okay, I can speak from my friend who's had a tree service to come out to top a 120-foot tree, and the guy promised to show up twice and didn't come either time. Okay, yeah. How are you going to get the food to you? You go fishing. Well, the lake, the river, whatever is 2 miles away. Okay, you walk over there with all your gear. You catch a bunch of fish. Now you got to walk back with them. Okay, might take you a while. You want to get a side of beef. Ever tried carrying half a cow? Good luck. Okay. What sort of backup transportation do you have? We talked about this. Somebody asked on the live stream the other day about how much gasoline they should store. I want you to think about this on the same scale. Let's say you have a small car that takes 20 gallons of gas. Okay, that's how big the tank is. And you go through a tank of gas a week. 20 gallons of gas per week. Gas is good for about 6 months with no stabilizer in it or anything. Okay, 20 gallons a week times 6 months, which is 26 weeks. That's 520 gallons of gas. And you say, well, in an SHTF situation, I'm not going to be driving that much. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. because that brings us to our fifth one, an income. You're going to need some sort of income or some sort of savings to continue to purchase from somebody who has the products that you need, be it the beef, be it whatever. Okay. You need, I don't know, pick something. Food, gas, clothing, a seamstress, whatever. You're going to have to pay them somehow. And contrary to popular opinion, not everybody's going to want your beans or your bullets or your bullion. Something is going to have to be traded for those skills. And hopefully they have useful skills. A seamstress skill is good. Gardening skills are good. Repairing a computer, nah. I mean, that's a useless skill. Works now, that's great. Okay. In SHTF, there isn't going to be an internet. Chances are there isn't going to be electricity. Okay. So it's not going to work. Usable skills, hunting, tanning, smoking, those sorts of things. Yeah, those are useful skills. There's a lot of them. I can make a really good mocha latte. I can make the pretty design on the cut. That's not a skill. Okay, it doesn't matter. But so you get into needing an income. What is your fallback for an income somewhere? I mean, I've talked about ideas before. If you're growing seedlings, can you sell them? Some of you guys have told me that, hey, you took the idea and sold a bunch of seedlings at the bottom of your driveway and made $500. Imagine how far that's going to go in an SHTF situation, where you could make a couple of $100 doing something like that, that now all of a sudden affords you to buy the beef or buy the batteries that you need. Anything, little things. These are the things that people don't think about, especially the normies out there. They figure the grocery store is always going to be available. It's not. They figure the drugstore is always going to be available. It's not. And that in itself is a whole separate category. 90% of this country is medicated on something. Take the drugs away, and then what happens? Okay. You've got a country full of zombies. You're going to need to buy ammo or buy parts for any sort of weaponry you have, unless, of course, you have multiple backups to backups to backups to backups, which can get very expensive now, but hopefully you've got some. Okay. Can you reload? That might be a great skill to have, because if you can make the ammo that people need, you're going to be in high demand. Okay. Give some thought to the scope of what is going on when you look at this, and start planning for, okay, what am I going to do on day 366 for food? If we use 6 gallons of water a day, my example, and you've got a 300-gallon IBC tote, great. You have 50 man days of water. 2 people in a house, that means you have less than a month's worth of water at 6 gallons a day. Okay. What are you going to do to replenish that water? And this is where one thing comes into the second. A gallon of water weighs about 8 pounds. You want to go fill that IBC tote. How are you going to do it? Certainly aren't going to carry something that weighs more than a ton back. You're going to need some sort of vehicle to bring it. Okay, you're going to fill gallon jugs. Let's say the nearest water source is a mile away. Are you going to walk a mile to come back a mile to carry 2 gallons of water? Maybe you carry 4. Okay. Do you have something as simple as maybe a bicycle? How about a wagon? The little red flyer wagons, that you could pull along. Maybe you have a 4-wheeler, or maybe you have a horse, a mule. Start thinking like they thought in the 1800s. and think about, start thinking like they thought in the 1970s. Let's go back there. I mean, I'll give you both pictures. Look at any pictures from the 1800s. Look at a lot of pictures from the 1970s. Did you see any fat people? No. Sure, there were some, okay. But most of the people got out, got exercise, did physical things. I mean, hell, even when we were kids, we were out playing all day, with a real bat and a ball, not doing this with a bat and a ball. We had physical exercise. We ate healthier foods. Your families grew a lot of what you ate. Even back when I was a kid, you had gardens, you had fruit trees. That was how people survived. Now you hear people say all the time, oh, why bother growing a garden? I can just go to the grocery store. And those are the people that when the day comes that the grocery store says, out of food, closed, they're going to go, what do I do now? The people that are in up to here on mortgages, and the bank comes up and says, sorry, time to take your house. What am I going to do now? This is the future that is coming. As much as so many people say, don't worry, this will all work out, are you willing to bet your life on that? The government cannot borrow their way into prosperity for the country. People cannot borrow their way into prosperity for themselves. All right? You see all these kids, what's the first thing they do? They graduate college, they're 22, 23 years old, and they go buy a new car. They just got their first job. They're lucky paying $50,000 with their college degree, unless they got it in African American studies or something stupid. Okay, if they actually got a real degree that they can get a job, the first thing they do is go take on a $700 car payment. Stupid is the only word for that. But I can't drive the same car I drove to college. It doesn't look good to my coworkers. And then when your coworker says, hey, let's go out to lunch, and you go, gee, I can't afford to. I've got to make my $700 car payment. Okay. Take a look around now. What are your priorities? What is important that you have? And what is whimsical? I'll use that term. Going through the store, impulse buys, right? Is your impulse buy an extra flat of beans? Or is your impulse buy that cute little sweater that's got the puppy dog on front? Where are you spending the money? Because we all have less and less and less of it to spend. Look around the house and go, what do I have here that has value to somebody else, but has absolutely no value to me as the economy gets worse and worse and worse and worse? We all know people that in the last couple of years think, oh, everything's great. They go out and they buy the new jet ski, or they go out and buy a new vehicle. And you go, is that the right decision? Now, the jet ski, I can't see any reason that's the right decision. A new vehicle, okay, depending on what you're getting. Maybe it's something that would be useful. Can you pay it off? That's critical. Get out of debt. Get the house paid off. If you live in an apartment, see if there's somewhere, somehow, some way you can find a plot of land to build on somewhere that you own, that is yours. Because when this all goes to hell, just take a look at what's going on with New York now, for example. Or Chicago and all the illegals. How long, if they're taking over hotels or taking over nursing homes, like I told you about, how long do you think it's going to be until the cities, the states, whatever, come up and go to the owners of apartment complexes like, BlackRock or Vanguard, who own a lot of this stuff, and say, we are commandeering your apartment complex. We need to house all the illegals there. And you're going, well, wait a minute, I've got a lease. And they're like, we don't care. Okay. And then all of a sudden you're thrown out on the streets like the 90 some odd year old Korean veteran Korean War veteran I was telling you about a week or so ago that was in the nursing home, and they kicked him out the street, gave him a week to find somewhere else. If you own it, it's going to be a lot harder to take it from you. If you don't, you're walking a real fine line. Make sure you got everything planned accordingly. Have the things in your possession. Have the skills, the knowledge, the connections that you need to get what you cannot provide for yourself. That's all. Those are the tasks that you need to take under advisement. Let's put it that way. If you know somebody that you can get eggs from, great. If you know somebody you can get beef or pork or whatever you eat from, great. If you don't, it's time to seek out those people and see what you have that they might want. When somebody comes up and says, hey, you've got, I don't know, excess tomatoes, can I get some from you? Or as you're down on the street, oh, gee, you've got power. Let's use that for example. Those that have some sort of backup electricity. Trust me how that one is going to be a huge asset that you can use for barter. Okay. You have firewood. That's going to be a big one. Seasoned firewood. There's a lot of people out there that think you just go cut a tree down and you've got a fire. Good luck trying to burn up all that green wood. You'll eventually get it going, but good luck. All those people that think, oh, I'll just go hunt Bambi, right? Okay. There's a whole lot of people who think it's easy. No, okay. Squirrels, chipmunks, whatever, if you have those skills, the hunting, the cleaning, the butchering, yeah, you own a meat grinder, you own a grain grinder, those are going to be things that are valuable. Start making a checklist of what you have that is valuable to others and what you're going to need to get from others, and start trying to figure out what's important and what's not. Pinball out.